Last episode of the series, I explained everything you need to know about raiding, the basics without going into too much details. However, in the third part of the ultimate guide to raiding, I will share with you all the tips and tricks about raiding, from the suicide trick to the metal room trick. These will greatly help you get the most out of a raid. Of course, make sure to watch the previous parts of the series, links will be in the description. Also check out Aptoide. Download the game from the link in the description and use my promo code SIRAX to earn 5% in cashback in your next purchases. Let's start off with some quick tips. Before going into a raid, make sure to prepare a fish steaks in the kitchen stove. This meal helps you make less noise while raiding. When traveling to the player's base, use energy instead of the chopper, because when entering a base with a chopper, it makes a little bit of noise. Always bring empty bottles or empty gas canisters in your chopper. You might find a chopper inside the player's base in the raid. The empty bottles can be used to siphon the chopper's gasoline. If you run out of hatchets, the player will automatically use a C4, even on a wooden wall.
Wait.
Make sure to store your C4s inside the chopper and only use them when they are needed for a stone wall. Mistakes can happen. Always have spare iron hatchets in your inbox. Since crafting makes noise, it's better take out iron hatchets from the inbox rather than crafting normal hatchets. You will always get some iron hatchets from the season pass. Once inside a raid, never leave the base to the global map, otherwise some tricks will no longer work. Also, make sure to check your internet connection so that your game doesn't crash in the middle of the raid. That's about all the quick tips I can think of. If I forgot any, make sure to share them in the comments down below. Now let's talk about the tricks. First trick you might want to use inside a raid is the wall trick. The walls inside a raid are perfect for the wall trick, although it's harder since you will be dealing with multiple zombies at once. It is still manageable though, it just requires more skill. So make sure to train your wall trick in Bunker Alpha, as it can save a lot of healing items when raiding. To make the small box trick work, you will need to have a small box behind a wooden wall. You won't always have this in raids, but when you do, make sure to bring long-range melee weapons such as road signs. The zombies can't actually pass through the small box, while you can. Lure the zombies close to the box, step back and start killing the zombies. Road signs are the perfect weapon for this trick. This is the only reason why I gathered these road signs. The other furniture that can help you perform this trick are the tanning rack or an incomplete turret. This time, instead of it being behind the wall, they need to be in front. It is the same process. Lure the zombies, step back and start killing them. This trick is perfect to take down zombies without having to use high tier weapons like machetes and katanas. It also helps on saving up on healing items and armor. And the cherry on top, it works against the big one. When the big one spawns, but there is still some chests you want to break, immediately run towards the wall and wait for the big one there. He will start hitting you through the wall, but you don't have to worry. You won't take any damage. Just avoid staying beside a window. Then quickly run towards the chests and start breaking them. And quickly run back to the wall with the big one. Repeat this process as long as you want. Just make sure to always come back to the big one in a short time. Less than 10 seconds I would say. Because if you don't do so, the big one will teleport to you. The only drawback in this trick is that if you have a weak phone like me, you will start lagging when the zombies spawn in. Just make sure to lower your settings. The spike trap is another way of killing zombies without using too much weapons, armor and healing items. All you need is spike traps, preferably in a straight line or around the player's base. Then you can just run beside the spike traps and they will damage the zombies chasing you down. Make sure to keep your distance with the spike traps because you will also take damage. The zombies will take 10 damage per spike. The more spike traps you have, the more quickly you will kill the zombies. The suicide trick is the trick you want to use inside raids. With the suicide trick, you can bring up to 8 more items with you and it is pretty easy to understand. Fill up the chopper with loot. Then you need to let yourself die, either by the zombies or using the spike traps. You will respawn at your base. You can take out the items from the chopper, store them and go back to the raid. Once inside the raid, you can get back to your loot and continue on raiding. Now you can refill your chopper with more items, Of course, the more slots you have in the chopper, the more loot you can bring back. So make sure to upgrade your carrying capacity to the maximum. However, there's one thing you need to take into consideration. You see, if you leave the base or your game crashes, then when you re-enter the base and try to do the suicide trick, it won't work. If you die, the base will just disappear. Let's say, for example, you entered a base for the first time. You broke some chests and you managed to gather some loot. You store some of it in the chopper to use the suicide trick. Unfortunately, the game crashes. You have to restart LDOE and re-enter the base. When you enter the base and try to do the suicide trick, to your surprise, the base in the global map is gone. This happens because your game crashed. If it didn't crash, the suicide trick would have worked perfectly fine. This is why it's important to never leave the raid to the global map or crashing the game. Otherwise, the suicide trick no longer works. In raid, sometimes you might get a base that has turrets. They will shoot at you if you get close, making a ton of noise. So you really want to avoid these turrets at all costs. How to deal with turrets? There is two ways. The first is by simply using a long-range weapon such as the VSS. It has to be silenced, of course. You want to use this first method when the turret is behind a window. It is the only way to get rid of the turret without wasting a C4 on the walls. The second way is by using your fists. Sometimes the turrets will be in the middle of the base, with no walls around it, so all you got to do is sneak behind the turret and start punching it to death. This is possible because turrets can't rotate 180 degrees. However, it is possible to have a base with multiple turrets. These turrets would be in a square formation, each one covering one side of the base. In this case, you need to destroy at least one of them by using a VSS, then the remaining three with your fists. This trick is usually used at the end of a raid, when the noise meter is almost at 100% and you still have plenty of chests that you want to break. However, you can't just break all the chests one by one. The noise meter will be full immediately. What you should do in this situation is this. Hit the chests, but don't break them fully. Just leave them at one hit. And when you are ready, quickly break the chests and check for the valuable loot. Quickly go through the chests before the big one reaches you. If you are quick, you might have a few seconds to open more chests. The only thing you need to know is that chests have a set amount of hits it can take before breaking. For example, it takes 4 hits to break a chest using a normal hatchet, but if you use an iron hatchet, the chest will break after 3 hits. So basically, to do the trick perfectly, if you are using a normal hatchet, hit the chests only 3 times. If you are using an iron hatchet, only hit the chests 2 times. For example here, I'm using an iron hatchet, so I am going to hit the chests 2 times, and when I'm ready, I will break each chest with 1 hit, take what I can and escape the big one. We all know that it is impossible to break into metal walls. They require a metal cutter, which is not obtainable in-game. However, there is actually a way of getting through the metal room without breaking any walls, and to do so, you will need an electric generator. For this trick to work, you will need to have inside the raid at least a tree, a rock, or plant fiber, because we will be using the auto mode to perform the metal room trick. How it works is pretty easy. Place the electric generator next to the wall. It needs to form a 90-degree corner. Then stand on the opposite of the tree, the rock, or the plant fiber. For example, as you can see here, I will stand on the opposite side of the rock. The electric generator is in between me and the rock. Click on the auto mode button, and as soon as your character gets close to the electric generator, move towards the metal room. I'll slow it down for you. As you can see, when my character gets close to the electric generator, I quickly moved towards the metal room. Now, if you don't move, the character will just go towards the rock and start hitting it. This trick takes a lot of time to do. It doesn't work all the time, but you have to be patient. If you managed to get through the metal walls, you can start breaking the chests. Of course, you won't see what's happening inside, but you can move around and try to spot the chests. Once you have taken all the loot you wanted, you can again close the game and reopen it, and the raid is done. Of course, you should only use this trick when you have taken all the possible loot. This last trick should be a last resort, a trick you only do when the loot is worth it because it is extremely risky and might get you killed. Here is how it works. Once the big one spawns at the end of the raid, try to lure him to one of the corners of the map. The corner should be opposite of where you spawned when you entered the base. When you lure the big one to the correct corner, exit to the global map and activate the sprint skill and wait a few seconds. When you re-enter the base, immediately sprint towards the chests you want to break because the big one is far away from you. You will have a couple of seconds to break a few chests. You won't have a lot of time though, you have to be quick. And this should be all the tips and tricks regarding raiding in Last Day on Earth. Using these tricks will help you maximize the loot you will get from raids. If I missed any, make sure to share them in the comments down below, and don't forget to check out the previous episodes of this series. In the next part, I will explain everything you need to know about revenge raids, and at the end, I will finish with some tips to help you complete raiders tasks easily so that you can raid every day. Thanks for watching and bye bye.